and pleasure to be here with you talking about a spiritual text, thought system, and practice that has absolutely transformed my life and that I absolutely love. And I'd love to talk about it. So thanks for joining me here on Enlightened World Network. If you're tuning in to this, I know we've had some people that have tuned in this live stream regularly in the 4 weeks or so since we launched it. And thank you all for doing that. Thank you for all of your likes, your hearts here on Facebook, the comments, shares, all of that. And by the way, that's an open invitation. If you know of people on your friends list that might be interested in this live stream, that might be interested in finding out more about this really, really wonderful spiritual text and what it can do, what is what it can do for you in your own life, then definitely please share the live stream with them. Absolutely. Yeah, the more shares, the more people it reaches. And that's really what we're going for here. It's what we're going for on Enlightened World Network. It's what we're going for in our lives anyway. Because really it is a community and it's a joint effort. No question about it. So we're going to talk about that, in fact, today. And I'm curious, before we delve into today's work lesson, which is Workbook Lesson 18, I'd love to know from you, if you're studying A Course in Miracles, you're here live, or if you're catching the replay, feel welcome to put this in the comments. I'm really curious to know how this has changed you. How are you different now, having been exposed to the Course this prior? And if you're just starting, that's okay too. Have you noticed any change? If you started with me on day 1 of the workbook, and we're now on to lesson 18, have you noticed any changes? You know, what's coming up for you? One of the things that I love to do is take questions, whether they're live or on the replay, from you and comments. I'd love to know how this beautiful text, this beautiful workbook, this beautiful practice, because it is a practice, I'd love to know how that has impacted you and made a significant change or a subtle change in your life, whatever that looks like. And I'll look at the comments here. There's very little, honestly, that needs to be said about the fundamental practice of Workbook Lesson 18. And hello, Caroline. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in here. Yeah, Workbook Lesson 18 emphasizes the theme that we're talking about today, and that's that we're joined. You can look in the title, and I just, in my mind, it made it about as clear as I could that we're joined, and the idea that we're all one is not some ganja-infused pipe dream. We're not making it up. It's not just a lyric in a Bob Marley song. We really are one. Why is that? How is that? Well, if only God is, and nothing else actually exists, it's just one. It's unitary, unified, joined. Minds are joined. We're joined. That is the ultimate truth. Now we're here having these experiences that most definitely feel and appear to be separate, right? Your neighbor doesn't look like you. You may be tall, your neighbor may be short. They may have a different philosophical outlook on life. They may belong to a different political party. They might be a different ethnic group. Their family may have come from another part of the world. Whatever that looks like, we appear to be having all these differences, but at the core, we are one. We are just love. It's not something that we tune into every so often because there's a popular song about love. That's actually what we are. So any spiritual growth process is a process of awakening to that. That's why that's the subtitle of this live stream. awakening to love. Because we already are that. We're not incomplete. Certainly feels like we are, doesn't it, sometimes? We're not broken. You are not broken. At your fundamental core, you are not broken. There are many ways, we call them spiritual paths, back to the living, breathing experience of that reality. I mean, experience, the living, breathing, constant and consistent experience of that reality. We call them spiritual paths. They're ways to reawaken, to peel off our armor, so to speak. People talk about layers of the onion. They're really, those are armor. We've armored ourselves defensively. In a defensive posture, we've armored ourselves against something like an outside perceived threat. Maybe it's another nation. Maybe it's somebody across the street from us. Yeah, maybe it's our own self. Maybe it's a voice on our shoulder that is telling us we can't do something. We shouldn't do something. Don't you want to play it safe? Well, how has safe gotten you? Happy with safe? We have these competing voices sometimes in our mind. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that for you. Lesson 18 emphasizes, and we'll visit it again if this is new to you, if the workbook is new to you, if A Course in Miracles is new to you, this is not a problem. That's fine. I really welcome you and I'm glad you're here. It's really interesting and fun to do something for the first time. And those of us like myself that have done this and been through that before, we're still in the same place where if I'm looking at this workbook lesson, I'll get more out of it if I'm approaching it as though I'm seeing it for the first time. So we get in our own way when we assume we already know something. Oh yeah, like that's yesterday, that's old. I already know that. All right. Then are you experiencing constant love in your life with no anxiety, no suffering? No? All right. Well, join the club. Join the club, right? It's coming from a standpoint of, I want to see this. I choose to see this with new eyes for the first time. That's why when you see a movie that you love more than once, you notice different things about it. You find that you gain a deeper understanding, that a plot or a character that really spoke to you speaks to you even louder now. Same thing with reading a novel, with reading a poem, reading a book. The 50th time you do that, that you gain in have on go around number 1, 2, or 3, for example. And this workbook is absolutely no different than that. So if you end up doing this 25 to 30 times in your lifetime, you will most definitely be different after 25 or 30 runs through than you are right now. All right, so let's check a couple of the comments, then we'll just talk about lesson 18 real briefly here. So Carol Ann, you're on day 81. All right, that's fun. It's definitely helping you understand you're connected to God and all your fellow travelers in this life. Yeah, and that's really what we are. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. Fellow travelers, I love that. Because that's what we are. We're all on this journey. And really, it's not a journey like we would think of a journey. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. Let's say I want to get in the car and drive to Los Angeles. It's 5 hours away over here. It's not a journey like that. We're actually traversing space, time, going somewhere. It's a journey in the sense that we're just reawakening. We really actually don't even have to go any place. You could stay, your physical body could stay right where you are and still experience awakening. You don't have to go. We don't have to. We can, but we don't have to travel to places like India. We don't have to sit retreats on the beach in Costa Rica, though I would really, really like to do that. I would love to do that about now. You? I think that sounds fun, but we don't have to do that because the journey is an inner journey, and we're all making it together. I love this. Yes. And hello, everybody watching. Thanks for the share. And Deidre says, this is the first time doing the workbook aspect. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, it's easier to relate in this fun way. Okay, I love that. It's really fun to share things with other people, and I find it's really beneficial to compare and talk about our experiences. And here's the thing: is that whatever experience you have with this is what you were meant to have. So somebody might relate to a lesson like today's, and other people might experience some extraordinary, I mean, with emphasis, extraordinary resistance to it, where our ego saying, no, 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 in a panicked voice, trying to do anything to distract us, to get us to stay where we are. Yeah, it's that voice that says, yeah, don't you want to just close this book and go do something else? Yeah, shouldn't you be doing something else right now? Just anything to distract you from realizing that it doesn't exist at all. And there's no reason for us to pay the slightest bit of attention to it, which is a beautiful thing. All right, lesson 18 here. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. No, you're not. We can actually mic drop it and leave it right there. You are not alone in experiencing the effects of your seeing. How? Well, we can actually really sort of prove that. Let's say you're looking out a window and you're looking at a thing that we call a tree that has this thing that we call a trunk, and these things that we call branches, and these things that we call leaves. And if you're looking at a conifer like a pine tree or a spruce, needles, right, their leaves fulfill the same function. There's green stuff on it, right? And we call it a tree. It's just language. We could have named that object anything else. The point is, we appear to be looking at the same thing, and we're not alone in looking out a window, seeing something that looks like a tree, and experiencing that as a tree. We get the effects of that. We're not alone in seeing the sky. If you see the sky as blue, that's the color that it appears. We're not alone in experiencing that effect. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're not alone in experiencing the effects of that. That's for sure, right? You can look anywhere in the world, all around you in your experience, and if you're willing to take a couple of seconds out of your daily life, daily grind, daily rat race, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, your daily experience, if you're willing to step out and take a little pause and think about this idea that you're not alone in experiencing the effects of your seeing, then that will begin to introduce into your mind and into thoughts the fact that minds are joined. We really joined. I know it doesn't appear that way because somebody else could be having thoughts of anger, frustration, and rage. Meanwhile, you are having a great day. You feel joyful. You feel connected, like you want to give everybody a big hug. And somebody in the next room could be having a completely different experience. Yeah, they could be feeling depressed or frustrated, stuck, maybe angry. So it appears we're having these different experiences, but our minds really, when it gets right down to it, are joined. And today's practice of lesson 18 in the workbook is just introducing that. And the work is beautiful this way, isn't it? It kind of gently, I mean, you may feel that some of these lessons come across like a sledgehammer. And if that's the way that happens for you, consider that that's the way that was meant to come across and really get your attention and grip you for the day. But a lot of these are especially early on here in the workbook, are gentle introductions into the Course in Miracles as a thought system. And what you'll discover as we go through them is that the ideas will be repeated. They'll be repeated in slightly different forms, but they'll be reinforced. And the idea that minds are joined is something that the text of A Course in Miracles talks about extensively. And we're seeing it here in this lesson in the workbook, and it will continue to get reinforced as we go forward. So if you have additional questions, comments about this lesson or any others, I'm happy to be of assistance to you. It's really my pleasure to be here on Enlightened World Network, sharing all of this with you. And thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if you know of somebody who's interested, maybe a friend or family member or a colleague, somebody that might be interested in this, definitely point them in the direction here of Enlightened World Network. Have them like the Facebook page, have them tune into the show guide. And this show kind of bounces around a little bit in terms of the time that it airs. Tomorrow it's at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in North America. So you can check the show guide for details on when it airs, but this is daily. So I will be coming to you every day. And I really thank you so much. It means so much to me that you have taken the time out of your day to join me here, and that you're taking time out of a busy life to work on your own awakening. That's the greatest gift that we could give the world. It's the greatest gift we can give another person. It's the greatest gift by far that we can give ourselves, is to devote some time to our own awakening. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again here tomorrow. This has been A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to